A dramatic day yesterday for the Las Vegas Raiders. Really one that I think has been speculated upon for months and months, but one, just being totally honest, I wasn't sure was ever going to be a reality. Here's my understanding of the situation. Davante Adams informed the Raiders on Monday, the day after they won against the Browns in a dramatic win without him, that he preferred to be traded. Now, this has been, as I mentioned, speculated for a long time because we know that there have been several teams interested in trading for Davante Adams. That happened last year around the trade deadline when it looked like the Raiders were going the wrong way. Happened again this offseason. There's been plenty of them. The Jets, I know everyone talks about, connect the dots with Aaron Rodgers. There have been others, though, and at every moment the Raiders have said, no, we are not going to do it. And now potentially the door opens. Davante Adams, sources tell me and colleague Mike Garafolo, informs the Raiders that he would prefer to be traded. And my understanding is the Raiders are at least open to this for the right deal. It would likely be expensive. Obviously, you'd have to rework Davante Adams' contract for the 2025 season, but certainly it is conceivable. Now, there are a couple different options here. He could end up staying with the Raiders. I know that's something several members of the organization would like, but there is also a possibility that one of the best receivers we have seen over the course of the last decade heads elsewhere before the trade deadline. Just a major, major shift.
Well, thoughts on a situation that's really fallen apart there in Vegas between Davante Adams and the Raiders, and then you mix in the idea of there were the tweets with Antonio Pierce liking a tweet that he could have played his last game, which I think is just crazy. Rob, what do you think?
Oh, yeah, this is a tough one because Davante Adams, arguably one of the best wide receivers in all of football. First of all, where Ian at? Could y'all put Ian up on the screen, man? Ian, what's up, dog? I feel like we don't work like this much together, man. Like, usually you just pop in for a little bit and then you pop out, man. You're working the whole damn 4 hours a day, man. How you doing, man? What's up?
I'm doing great. I got my coffee. I'm ready for a long shift here. And the fact that I get to talk to you it's not the best part of this whole thing, just being totally honest, but it's a very nice part.
Can I say something for Ian, too, Mike? Listen, he usually pops in, like you said, and he pops in, pops out. He's here in the studio with me in New York, and I have never seen you work from this perspective, Ian. I have to tell you, pull back the curtain. Ian just gave that whole report with all these different scenarios. There's no teleprompter. Wow. There's no notes. I can vouch for that. This is all here, Rap Sheet. I'm incredibly impressed.
I spend most of my day thinking about these things.
It shows.
Oh, my goodness, man.
The sheet is here.
That is pretty awesome, and I know your feet are just swinging from that chair. There you go, Ian. Sorry, man. I had to say that. Had to say that, man. But getting back to the subject at hand, Davante Adams. All right, look, first of all, I would want to get up out of there, too. He's a wide receiver, and this team, you talk about the Raiders, they don't have a quarterback. I know they have Gardner Minshew, and they put him out there, and Aiden O'Connell is the backup. But as a wide receiver who wants the football and wants to win, this isn't a great situation, and it really hadn't been a great situation since Davante Adams has been there. And I know he took the money. He left Green Bay, who I honestly think Green Bay is one of the destinations that could possibly use him now. You look at the fact that Christian Watson, he's out right now, and they have a young quarterback who they've already paid, and they need a coverage dictator like a Davante Adams. Another team that could use a Davante Adams, and I know the football gods probably won't allow this to happen, but Kansas City, man. I think he would be awesome in Kansas City. Remember when it was another wide receiver, Sarah, who was trying to look for a home, and he got with a great quarterback in Tom Brady. Remember when Randy Moss was doing? I can see that possibly happening in Kansas City, and then Kansas City has a quarterback who's probably better than anybody on the Raiders roster as a backup in Carson Wentz. So, I'm just saying, a trade can happen. Some things, I don't know the business part of it, but some things can happen. But I do think if the football guys allow that to happen, that'd be cheating, man. I'd get Patrick Mahomes, somebody like Davante Adams. But, hey, wishful thinking.
Well, listen, Randy Moss came from the Raiders, too, when he went to the Patriots. But I think if they traded him to the Chiefs in division, the Raiders fans would besiege upon the facility and with torches. And I would understand that completely. Lots to get to on this. We're all excited. Ian is here in studio, and there's a lot of news going on. There's also a clip going around that everyone has a bunch of opinions on. When he's not liking tweets, Antonio Pierce was asked point blank about a couple of the stars on his team, and everyone is breaking down this video. So have a look at the head coach of the Raiders. Go ahead.
Plans with Max and Davante at practice this week, and is Michael Mayer back in the building? But Max and 17 all depends on where they're at health-wise. As of right now, status quo. And Mike is still dealing with personal.
All right, so 2 takeaways. Everyone is saying, he refers to Davante Adams as 17. He can't even say his name. That I put no stock in. A lot of people call him 17. Davante Adams calls himself 17 or 1-7. That I don't think is any kind of tell. However, all this action up here when he says 17's name, he's scratching and pulling. And like, dude, that is clinical. That is right out of the textbook. And if you go deep with the Seinfeld references, which I really don't, Elaine and Jerry are sitting around talking about people reveal themselves. They show themselves by touching, and the higher, the bigger reveal. So I think Antonio knows something is going on here. Mike, listen, I agree with you. If you're a Raiders fan, there it is right here. So he's looking and everything's fine.
He just means that they were talking
Even
about
the other
it.
hand goes up. That's very telling. You into it, Mike?
I mean, I am, man, and you're right. The minute he said something about Davante, he's like, I mean, I think that just means he was just probably having a conversation about Davante, and it probably just, it struck him the wrong way because it appears he's still a player. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he's still a player at heart.
No, he's having a conversation about Davante no longer being a player for the Raiders potentially. And listen, if you're a Raiders fan, I don't think you're screaming and kicking right now either. At least I wouldn't be. He's 31 years old. Next year, his salary takes a huge jump. He's going to get more expensive. I don't think the Raiders are built to win a Super Bowl this year or win the West. And where Davante is, as far as he's concerned, asking for this. Listen, he has a standard of living, Davante Adams. He spent years and years with an MVP quarterback, all right? He was spoiled. That's fine. That's not his fault. Remember, he was sold on this tale of you're going to move to the Las Vegas and you're going to be with your old college buddy, Derek Carr, and it's going to be awesome, and that's how you play out your career. Well, Josh McDaniels didn't like Derek Carr, so he's gone, and he's with the Saints right now, and Davante's miserable. I have never seen someone so unhappy on a reality show as we saw Davante Adams. And I said that autobiographically. I mean, come on. It was awful. He did not want to be there. But as far as where, we're throwing everything against the wall and Chiefs, and there's all these other teams. I'll just say the headliner right here. Do you see this photograph of this quarterback? This is the last time we saw Aaron Rodgers in a game. He has a towel over his head. He can't even look. I know it's obvious. And you're saying, how many people do you have to bring? And how many people? As many as you can. We are 4 games into the Jets season. This is when you look around and say, is this a Super Bowl team? No. Could it become a Super Bowl team? Maybe. The Jets don't have the luxury of maybe. They're not in the business of maybe. They need to at least get to probably. It's a 1-year thing. With as many hits as he took last week, they hope it's 1 year. And I would just say in a final word for Rodgers, when guys get into their 40s, when men and women get into their 40s, I don't care if they're a quarterback or a school teacher. You just want comforts. You want familiar comforts. It's the clothes you wear. It's the music you listen to. It's the food you eat. It's all of us. You know who the leading receiver is for the Jets after 4 games? Allen Lazard. He leads them in yards. He leads them in touchdowns because Rodgers is comfortable with him. Can you imagine if you brought in Davante and he's even comfortable with him and more ability? We can't sit around and wait. Well, Garrett Wilson, we got to go. We got 1 year to win a Super Bowl. I would think yes. I know it's obvious. I know it's in the headline. I know it's New York. Yes, yes, and yes. Do everything you can to get him there. And why the hell not? Let's try it.
Let me give you another team that I think it's that idea of we got to go, right? And so everyone's going to put him with Aaron Rodgers. That's his guy. He loves him. Let me offer up another quarterback that he clearly loves because this was Davante Adams earlier in the year talking about Lamar Jackson.
I was literally finding myself watching Lamar Jackson highlights like in my locker before the games. Like, dude changed the game. He's the best, in my opinion, best ball carrier ever. No matter what position you want to talk about, I don't think anybody's as big of a threat carrying the football. So, and obviously he's worked really hard to develop in the other parts of his game as well, and you've seen that come a long way too.
Okay, so here's the thing. There would be some cap issues with the Ravens. However, Lamar Jackson, think about what he's done. He hasn't had a Pro Bowl receiver that has made the Pro Bowl as a receiver with the Ravens. And in fact, I had research check this because it was actually unbelievable to me. No Raven wide receiver has ever made the Pro Bowl as a wide receiver in Baltimore. Some of the wide receivers have made it on special teams. They haven't done it at all in their franchise, which is incredible. I know, I didn't believe. I was like,
Steve
this can't.
Smith didn't make the Pro Bowl?
I read this and I was like, this cannot be true.
Well,
so while he was there with Baltimore. So you put Davante Adams on that team, and now you've got to contend with Davante Adams, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers. I mean, it changes the entire dynamic. And a Baltimore Ravens fan base that was in meltdown mode at 0-2, and what are we doing? All of a sudden, and you saw what they did now against the Bills. I mean, what a flip of the narrative there. And then they are right back in this thing. And then they go right to the top at contenders. And yes, again, I mentioned, Ian, you'd know this better than me about the cap space there. But if they could move some stuff around, and obviously we just heard from Davante, he really likes Lamar. Not a bad place to go. Ian, what do you got?
As a runner. Like him as a
First
runner.
of all, with the Ravens, you could easily make it work cap-wise. He's got a huge number next year. Whoever trades for him is probably going to rework the number anyway. You want to make it work, you can almost always make it work cap-wise. Here would be my team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. We spent a lot of time this offseason talking about the Steelers potentially trading for a big-time receiver who was going to get paid. That was Brandon Ayuk. Obviously, the 49ers ended up keeping him. I thought so many different times I was getting ready to hit send on the tweet. The trade to the Steelers never happened. They are still looking for a receiver, and they are good. They are a good team. The defense is good. The quarterback situation seems to have solidified with Justin Fields playing probably as well as anyone thought he could be over the course of the first 4 games. Going to start Game 5 despite Russell Wilson nearing or getting to full health. They just need one more weapon. Hard to imagine a better player being available at the trade deadline than Davante Adams. The Steelers have shown they're willing to do it. To me, that makes the most sense.
How much is this going to dominate your life, Ian?
Let's go, Ian.
All of it. All of it. I mean, it's funny. So I hit send yesterday. Full disclosure, in the shower, whatever, it doesn't matter. Hit send yesterday.
No, hold on a damn second here.
And-
No, we're
you're
stopping the show
tweeting
on
in
that.
the shower?
You're hitting send in the shower?
What is wrong with you?
You have the
Well,
phone in the shower?
Like
have
the
full-
arm has to
always-
be out of the shower holding the phone,
That's so
right? What do you think?
dangerous, bro.
No,
Kids watch
no.
this shit.
You can no. No, I mean, I'm not. It's not a FaceTime. You know, I mean, thank God.
It's
Hey,
still an
now.
electronic,
I hit-
Ian.
look,
It's water.
You get news when you get news when you get news. I hit send and I finished showering. It doesn't matter. Anyway, what I was
wait
thinking
10
as I hit
minutes?
send was like, this is no. Someone else could get it. People need to know the news, Mike Rob. They got to know the news. So as soon as I hit send, I'm like, okay, now we're off because this is going to be the story now until he gets traded or until the Raiders say, you know what, we are keeping him. So yes, this is going to dominate some things.